when we last spoke, you gave one of the best teases I've heard in a while when you teased that end of finale, mid-season finale cliffhanger. It was
Yeah.
incredible. So what can you tease now with that kind of pressure on you about the mid-season premiere and how Archer is going to get out of this and save Goodwin?
Well, thank you. The reality is that the anticipation and the nerve wracking, almost exhausting nerve racking nerves does not abate with tomorrow with the next episode. It continues, and it is terrifying and enthralling. It moves at an amazing pace, and everybody, all the characters and the audience and the fans of the show are going to go on a ride. But it's a ride that's not just thrilling and scary and a lot of action. It's also an emotional ride as well, because what we found out at the end of I mean throughout this whole season is really how emotionally enmeshed all these characters are, and how invested they are in each other. So this was a real heavy moment for Archer, especially, who's about to leave this hospital and move on to who knows what. And he sees his boss, who also he realizes in that moment is somebody he cares deeply for, and she's in peril. So we see what happens, with that circumstance. That's all I'm going to tease, but it's not just it's so not about Archer and Goodwin. It's about this whole cast that finds themselves embroiled in this crisis, and everybody is propelled forward in a great way.
Well, in the most immediate aftermath, this is a situation where he's basically lost the ability to help her immediately from what we saw. And, he's stuck in the elevator. Is he going to try
Oh
to go
yeah.
straight up to her, or is he going to try to get help? Because he's unarmed too. So what is his kind of next move there?
Well, his military instincts kick in. He's not turning around; he's going forward. And the brilliance of that episode was that the doors literally closed on him and closed on any kind of realistic possibility of him being able to intervene at that moment. So he's got to use, his old instincts and his old tools, survival tools. At the same time, as I said before, he that moment is impacted by his realization that he cares for this person, and that even though it hasn't necessarily been explored on screen very much, they have a kind of commonality that is, they're in the same age virtually. They're in the same world, and they've been through a lot of shit as individuals, and so that bonds them. And here's this person who he didn't even think he would ever have to intervene in this way, and he has to do it. So yeah, he's hurled into action, and that's part of the fun of the show.
Yeah. Well,
So,
once they get past the immediate crisis and get to Goodwin, there's still the fact that she still needs to be saved because she's gone through a huge physical medical
oh
ordeal.
yeah.
What can you tease about how Archer is playing into that saving in the second part of the recovery process?
Well, what maybe isn't clear, but will be, and I don't think this is a giveaway, is that her injuries are extensive. They are life-threatening injuries, and he has to do all he can to help this person. And it's more than just it's more than just personal. It's more than just technical. It's a way for him to give back to the whole family, that whole hospital. All the characters who are intertwined. He's helping to save their leader, right? And so again, he's a doctor through and through. Sure, he's a mess. Sure, it's it's hard for him to express his emotions. He's uncomfortable with intimacy and all that. But this is a way for him to mitigate those flaws, and he tries the best he can, tries the best he's able to save this person.
Yeah.
That's all I can say to you.
Well, on a personal level for him, he had just resigned when all of this happened. Obviously, that's not front of mind immediately, but how what can you share about how this may change his feelings about that and how this may make him think about his place in the, Chicago Med family now that he has gone through this traumatic experience?
Well, it's going to be interesting to chart his trajectory after this moment, because he's forced to question his belief system, or in a way his lack of belief system. He's he's just about to leave the hospital when arguably one of the worst crises that he's ever encountered, certainly after the war, is rearing its head. So I think at some point he has to think, well, what does this mean? What this is really, maybe this is where I'm supposed to be, or this is the life I'm supposed to have, even at this time of in my life. Because yeah, he was ready to chuck it all. He was ready to just just leave. And I don't think he even knew what he wanted to do. He just wanted to detach. But here he's being forced to connect, and that's hard for him. And maybe he recognizes that that's his challenge, his life challenge, that he's got to sort of face the things that are hardest. Being a doctor has become relatively easy for him. He understands technically what to do, and the anxiety doesn't creep up on him like a young doctor, or like, because he got through that in the war. But this is something else. This is the next level of his emotional evolution.